car.
Right.
Yeah, what those guys up to do the drugs deal.
So Pete and Paul are here with Eddie.
Hello.
It's the 21st of April 2016. We come down to meet Eddie, have a chat. Over to Paul.
So the track Smalltown Glory, when I first heard the track, I think there's a line in there, I'm not afraid of the power to dream, Smalltown Glory. And that was probably the only track where I thought I could hear sort of echoes of the way you and Mike used to write, possibly lyrically. I just sort of wondered, I suppose, it being whatever, how many years, decades, whatever it is, how you sort of writing has sort of evolved, what kind of, I guess when you were in the Alarm you were writing with Mike, now you sort of write
like with
Paul, whether you had sort of anything to say sort of just around, because I'm interested in sort of writers' dynamics and lyrics and stuff like that, so it's a bit of a generic.
No, it's a good call, because in a funny kind of way is, obviously I started the song off, I had the idea, I mean the concept obviously it's a bit autobiographical in that sense. You know what I mean, coming from a small town and everything else. But Paul sort of grew up in Carshalton.
Yep.
And in Surrey, and he was saying that even though he lives in Carshalton, he felt not like living in like a central London kind of person. So he said, I can see what you're saying. He said, it doesn't really matter. If you live sometimes on the periphery of a big city, you don't automatically feel that you live in the big city. Yeah. And he came up with a line about the power to dream, and it's strange, because when you write with somebody, I mean, I know he can sing. I mean, that was undeniable. I've heard him sing and everything else. I knew that for a fact. But when it came to writing lyrics, I didn't realise how strong he would be.
Right.
It was a bit of like, I hope, you know what I mean? I'm the sort of person, I used to push Mike. Mike always used to surprise me. He used to come back with some great lyrics. He's a really good lyricist, and when he's on it, he really is. He comes out with some really amazing sort of scenes or whatever. But I sort of see himself as the catalyst, of the person who pushes people to try and get those extra things out. Yeah. So in the Alarm, I used to sort of come up with the titles.
Yeah.
I am a bit of a Michael Fish, and that's why there were so many songs about weather and storms and summer and rain and everything else. Okay. But in this situation, like Smalltown Glory, which again is, obviously has been quite a gap. Paul said to me, I've still got the power to dream, and he saw that as the whole project.
Yeah. Okay.
The idea, he said to me, I really was excited, because when I played him the songs originally, he went away and had a listen, and then came back, and then we sort of tried to. It took us a long time to do it, because when I spoke to Pete, it was quite a long time ago. It was probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. And why would it take two years to get a project together? Because in a way, you're sort of trying to sort of mould that relationship together, and it's not just about playing songs. It's about lyrics, and I knew that I wanted to set the bar pretty high. I didn't want to just come out and just bang it out. It was not a case of that, because to pick up the guitar and said, right, I'm going to make a record again, I wasn't going to do it light-heartedly. I was going to put, I never ever did anything light-heartedly in the Alarm. Yeah. And there was no way I was going to do it this way. No. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I think it's really evident. Everything that the way it's been sort of packaged, put together, delivered out.
Well worth the wait.
Thank you. I've never honestly worked as hard on anything in my entire life as I've worked on this record. It took a lot out of me, and it was interesting because, as you're probably aware now, that the track listing on the CD is wrong, and I didn't know this, because I basically did all the packaging. I worked with my mate Xavier to do all the design on it, and I said, look, I was looking at the logo. I said, I want a good logo, I want this, I want that, and we worked really hard on the design of it, kept going back and forwards trying to get it right. And I couldn't believe when Paul we got the CD, it arrived, Paul went out to the car and goes, you've changed the track listing round. And I went, no. And he said to me, yes, you have. I went, and honestly, I literally, this is going to sound melodramatic, but I tell you one thing, if you ever want the honest truth on this one, speak to Chris, speak to Paul, because I went mental. I could not believe I was so careful about everything we did to get that wrong.
But it's that kind of when you sort of invested so much in it, you know, and you absolutely just want everything 100%, and then
it means a lot to me to get it right. I mean, probably too much in a sense, because, you know, I think if you care passionately, you know, if you whatever you love in life is, you care passionately about it, it's your kids or your football team or your whatever. You know what I mean? That kind of emotion when something great happens. Yeah. That's what you're after. And that's what music does for me.
In a way, it was that gig at the Compasses sort of 25 odd years ago. To me, it sort of represented like it was a big deal. I really wanted this band to sort of, you know, be able to gig regularly and gig well. And we weren't going to do covers. We were all you know. And then, you know, when you kind of
can blame the alarm.
Sing a drop sheet.
Blame the alarm for that.
Well, I think, I mean, it's. I mean, I think it's sort of well documented amongst the Alarm community, you know, just how much of an impact the Alarm, the music, the words, and especially the sort of attitude of the four of you had. I mean, the impact, it wouldn't be melodramatic for me to say that, you know, the impact on my life was sort of life-changing at sort of 14 years of age. You know, a slightly insecure, slightly sort of nerdy kind of, you know, suddenly actually, I can, you know, and a lot of Mike's words, maybe they were your words, had a profound, absolutely. I think you'd say the same, wouldn't you?
Well,
we talk about this a lot.
You know, the strangest thing about it is, I think one thing that was probably very good about the Alarm was the fact that I think everything we did, we had to fight for. Nothing really came easy, in the sense that we had a few breaks along the way, but breaks that in a sense we'd made, if you get my drift. You've got to be in it to win it, literally. And the press hated us, so in that sense we were always fighting. And I think sometimes when you're doing that,
the really weird thing is, early days the press loved it, band got successful, build them up, knock them down, but then the last 10-15 years it's cool now to like the Alarm. You know, Green Day have popped up, haven't they? Buddy Corgan's popped up. Yeah. You know, it's just like, hang on a minute. Even Bono, you know.
It is, and I think what it is, I think bands appreciated the group. I think what it was, I mean, it's really interesting, the politics of the Alarm. I think not many people documented this, but I don't know if this is the truth or not. But what happened was, a long, long time ago, when 68 Guns was just about to come out, obviously the buzz had started on the band, and the band, obviously, we'd worked really hard and played loads of folks up and down the country, and sort of this is mainly a UK thing, but it's quite interesting how it had an effect. And what happened was, we had a press agent who worked for A&M, and like people, I suppose, at the time, you know, you trust people who were in the business to represent you in the best possible way. And what happened was, they offered us, I think it was a front cover of Sounds with a Gary Bushell article, or a 2-page spread in NME.
Right.
Okay. And of course everyone was excited because the record was coming out. They went for the front cover of Sounds. Right. Now the interesting politics on that is that the NME then became, right, if you're not going to go with us.
Okay.
And what people don't realise, this is what made our career incredibly difficult. Sounds was a UK paper.
Yeah.
NME was like the Bible of music, even though we all went, NME this and NME that. But you know what? At the time, that was read in New York, it was read in France, it was read in Tokyo. All the sort of people who were really into music read it. And from that moment onwards, our career became a struggle, a fight against people. Always negative about when we got there. If we got an album, whatever it was, that people were going, you had to sort of justify yourself on every level in every country. And it was a real tough battle from that day onwards. So from like 1983-84 period, we were always sort of, you know, in the corner trying to fight our way out of the corner. Made it very, very hard indeed.
Sounds just far cooler.
But it's one of those things you're thinking, as a a young chap just thinking, well, you take advice by people.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's that is, you can look at it another way, thinking, is that the reason? Well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes it is. And I could never understand why people were quite so hostile in certain places.
Yeah.
Because, we were a band, we were genuine, we did what we did, we worked hard, and we wanted to, get music out to people and get people excited, and get people into it, because the one thing we did as a band, I got into music through Slade. I mean, I went to see Slade at the age of sort of 13.
Yeah.
And it changed my life, because all of a sudden I went into a venue. I mean, I knew the records, because all the guys I worked with in the summer job said to me, "Oh yeah, get Slade," and I saw tickets, and I managed to get a ticket to go and see him at Liverpool Empire, and I'd never experienced anything like it. The volume, the songs, the band, the crowd, everything about it was like, it just blew my mind, literally. From that point onwards, there was nothing else in life I ever wanted to do apart from listen to music, play music, be in a band. Yeah. That was it. And Mike was pretty much the same. And same with Nigel and Dave. I mean, they a bit older than us, so they managed, because they came from Manchester originally, they'd like seen The Who at the Free Trade Hall, doing all, I think it was Quadrophenia when it came out. So they can imagine their heads were in the same sort of in the same sort of place. So of course we wanted to be in a band, and that's the sort of thing I wanted to do, is get people excited about our music, because then people would go and make music. And it is a way of not handing it on, but you want other people to get as excited about things as you do. So, and do you know what? I still haven't changed.
No.
Not in the slightest. I still care as passionately today. But it's taken maybe to step away from something to actually know you can really appreciate it and come back and do it put your hand on heart and say, if I really want to do this, and do it as best I possibly can. So people do make new memories. It's like thinking, do you know what? I think that's it, really.
I think as a fan, I think like by the time sort of 1984, 85 came around, I think fans are pretty much aware that the press had sort of turned against the Alarm pretty much wholesale, I felt, and sort of those kind of pre-internet days, you grasp onto any little kind of snippet of information that you sort of see, whether it be in the NME, Melody Maker, or the Sun, or whatever. But I think, I mean, we chatted with Mike briefly in Winchester last year, didn't we? And I said to him, I've got to tell you that it feels like Alarm fans, it feels like we're vindicated. It feels like we were right all along.
You were never wrong. That's all I can say.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's exactly it. I need, my view, salt of the earth. I mean, simple as that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, can't believe the level of support. Even we've had with this. I mean, Paul said to me when we did this, he was probably more nervous of doing it than I was, because he's going to go, you know what, people are going to start comparing me to Mike maybe, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. And I said, well, I don't compare you to Mike. I just want you to be happy with what you're doing and proud of it. I said, the people you got to stare at is, talk to your kids. If they turn around and said, Dad, we think what you're doing it's cool and it sounds really good, and I said, is that probably sure it's all that matters? And he said to me that they looked at me and played the record and they loved it. And he went, I came home and I think his heart, it just warmed up and got bigger and bigger because of it. He said to me, it's been quite a roller coaster for him, more so than me, because in a sense I saw it as something I wanted to prove to myself I could do. Yeah. For him, it's a thing, he's not done this before. Yep. And the same with Charlie as well, because Charlie, I mean, he's a really, really intelligent chap, and he's good at lots of different things. Yeah. And the fact he was involved, I was really, I was excited about that as well, because he had a lot to offer as well. Because I didn't want to play bass on the record, because he plays in a different style to me. Sure. And I wanted to bring other people in that I can't predict what's going to happen next. Right. So in other words, if you get ideas, you can play off other people. Yeah. And it's all of it. It's been great. It's been a great sort of fusion of tastes, and ideas and
yeah. Well, that was one of the other questions actually, was that.
Can I just make sure it's working? I'm a little bit paranoid about this.